154th, and I was on my way to Dan Ryan, and 95th and the Dan Ryan. Okay, after a few stops, the bus was full because it's early in the morning. So I'm sitting there, and some of the seats go like on a let me see how the ones where the access to the wheelchairs.
Okay.
That's where I was sitting. So
Okay.
you know they run kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm sitting there, and then as the bus moves, you need to hang on sometime.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed hold to the pole, and this big fat lady, she had to be about 300-400 pounds. She gets on the bus, and so I'm like, okay. Next thing I know, the bus started hitting bumps. Mm-hmm. And as they hit the bumps, I'm holding on. She pushes her breast up against my hand while I'm holding on.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay. So I look up at her and I said, I'm sorry. Because it looked like I'm feeling her breast, right? And the bus just bouncing, going up and down. We went through this from 154th Street to 95th. I thought we would never get off the bus. And every time the bus would hit a bump, and her titties go. And my hand going in and out of her titties. And I'm saying, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. And she said, that's okay. But she never moved. She never moved. And I rubbed her chest from 154th to 95th. Every time I thought that we was getting ready to get off, he pulled off again. I'm like, we ain't at 150, we ain't at 95th yet. And she just grinning. She kept telling me it was all right. So, I mean, weeks after that, I thought about it. I said, you know what? I bet you that was just a cheap thrill to her. Because she never moved, and she made it look like it was me doing it. But I kept saying, and then she had me both ways. If I had pulled my hand out, I would have rubbed both her titties. So I wouldn't move it. I thought maybe she'd bag up off it so I can get my hand down. But she never did. And I had to rub her chest all the way to 95th in the damn rain. And you looked up at a girl, and then she was grinning. And one of her two front teeth, one was sitting 2 teeth over. The front tooth was sitting 2 teeth over from where it belonged. And I just remember looking at this big gap and this smile in her face. And I said, some people, that probably was a cheap thrill to her. And I'm like, but when we would hit the bump, it would go, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Because it was just like I was doing it on purpose. And I say, but she would never let my hand out of there. I'm like, well, I thought the first time she would let me get my hand out, but she never did. She never did let my hand out of there. And I said, oh my God. I said that might have been just a cheap thrill.